What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be previewing the 2025 college football schedule for Nebraska. I'm going to go through every single game on their schedule for 2025 and predict their record. But before we predict their record, let's talk about this Nebraska team. I think this is a Nebraska team that has breakout potential for next season. They do only return 9 starters, but they got a young 5-star quarterback in Dylan Raiola back. They got the coach in Matt Rule, who has a great track record. He always has great year threes. And they also added some very good pieces through the portal. And this is a secondary that returns 4 starters. They should be really good in the back end on defense. They also look pretty solid in the linebacker room with the Oklahoma transfer coming in. And also a sneaky good pickup in Marquez Watson. This is a guy that has combined for 242 tackles and 20 tackles for loss with 5 sacks over the last 2 seasons for Georgia Southern. He's one of the top name linebackers at the group of 5 level and a huge pickup for Matt Rule and that defensive staff. And they also returned Javon Wright in the linebacker room. He's a leader and a senior, and he does have breakout potential next season. The defensive line does have some question marks. They got young guys coming up like Cameron Leonard and also Riley Van Poppel. Matt Rule really went all out in the portal this offseason with the number 2 portal class in the Big Ten. They're recruiting at a good level. They also got the 5-star edge to transfer in from Missouri. They add guys like Gabe Moore and Jalen George, 2 guys with a lot to prove on the defensive line. But overall, I really like this secondary. I think they'll have one of the better secondaries in the Big Ten, and the linebacker core is pretty good as well. Offensively, they got their 5-star quarterback in Dylan Raiola. They got a great backfield with Emmett Johnson coming back. Quentin Ives is another young back who could step up. He did have a rushing touchdown against Boston College in the bowl game. And at tight end, they are moving Heinrich Hardberg, the backup quarterback to Dylan Raiola. He's moving to tight end. And they also return Luke Lindenmeyer. He's solid. The offensive line should be alright. They got some veterans and they add Elijah Pritchard and Rocco Spindler, 2 4-stars. But if we want to see this team take a step forward and be an 8 to 9 win team in the Big Ten, they need the receivers to step up. They got Dane Key, one of Kentucky's best receivers from last season, and also the top receiver from California and Isaiah Hunter. They got a solid playmaker from last year and Ja'Cory Barney Jr. back. They have some guys. Look, I think overall this is a solid Nebraska squad. We'll see how they do with the departure of Tony White at defensive coordinator, but I trust Matt Rule. He did an excellent job at Baylor, leading them to double-digit wins in year 3. And he's been a winner his whole career, and he has this team heading in the right direction. And without further ado, let's get into predicting their schedule. Nebraska will open the season playing an interesting matchup against Cincinnati. This could be a game that really tests them in week 1. Cincinnati is not a bad squad. This is a team that nearly made a bowl game last season. They had good offensive talent, and they return a lot of that offensive talent, including Brendan Sorsby, and they also add one of the better running backs from the Big Ten in Tawee Walker. They also got Joe Royer back at tight end, a guy that had 50 catches and over 500 yards. As a tight end, that's very good. He was one of their top playmakers. They add some very solid receivers out of the portal. I think they're going to have a pretty good offense, and the defense returned 68% of the production. This team could be sneaky. But regardless, I am going to trust Nebraska's line of scrimmage. I'm going to trust Matt Rule in week 1, and I think Nebraska wins and moves to 1-0. Nebraska will then play Akron at home. This is an Akron team that has won 10 combined games over the last 3 years with new head coach Joe Moorhead. Akron has been a pretty bad team in recent memory. I like Nebraska to win this game and move to 2-0. The following week, they will play another easy non-conference matchup playing HCU at home. This is an FCS school that went 5-7 last season. They just don't have much going for them. They got destroyed by SMU 59-7 last season. I expect Nebraska to do the same thing and move to 3-0. Nebraska will then open conference play with a huge matchup at home against Michigan. This game could be a momentum changer for both these teams. I think both these teams are considered dark horses in the Big Ten, maybe sneaky playoff contenders if they put it all together, because they both have favorable schedules. Both these teams should battle at the line of scrimmage. They both have solid coaching staffs. But I'm not going to lie to you guys, I don't understand the hype with this Michigan team. A lot of people are so high on Bryce Underwood, but I don't expect him to be that great in year 1. I think he'll be an upgrade from what they had last year. And I don't base everything off of a spring game, but I watched the spring game highlights. He had a lot of inaccurate throws. You can't take away a little bit from a spring game if quarterbacks can't make those throws. And it's not just him, the receiver room has a bunch of question marks. They got unproven guys. The offensive line should be pretty good, but they got some young pieces there. I think they will have a better backfield with Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall, but even defensively, they definitely have some guys that they need to replace, like their two big time defensive tackles, Will Johnson in the back end. I think this team lost more than people realize. I do think they will be better because this team is a culture builder. They are a consistent football team, and I do think Sharon Moore is a good head coach. I think he'll figure it out at Michigan, but I don't think next year is the year for a big breakthrough. I'm taking Dylan Raiola's experience and that Nebraska offensive line in this game. They also have it at home, and I trust them to get this win and move to 4-0. I think it will be a very close win, though. Nebraska will then have another home game. They play Michigan State at home off of the bye week. And similar to Matt Rule, I think Jonathan Smith is a program builder. I like both these head coaches, and I like the way these programs are heading. But I do think Nebraska is a step ahead of this Michigan State team. Both these teams have been pretty bad over the last couple of years, but Nebraska definitely had a better offseason than Michigan State. Matt Rule has a great track record as well. I like Dylan Raiola at quarterback. Nebraska also has this game at home. I trust their line of scrimmage play. Aiden Child should be pretty solid at quarterback, but he also makes a lot of mistakes. And Nebraska does have a good secondary. I like Nebraska to get this win and move to 5-0. Nebraska will then go on the road to play Maryland. This will be their first road game, and it could be a tricky one if Nebraska doesn't show up to play. But Maryland is nearly bottom of the Big Ten in return in production, and they have major concerns. The defense has big concerns, and they will have to replace Billy Edwards Jr. Malik Washington is a good recruit at quarterback, but he's only a freshman. And the other guy they got is Justin Martin. He's not that great. The backfield is questionable. The offensive line is questionable. From top to bottom, this is not a great team. I trust Nebraska even on the road in this game to continue that momentum moving to 6-0. But the following week, they have another tricky road game. They will go on the road to play Minnesota. Minnesota is a team that returned some good production, and they got a beast at running back in Darius Taylor. They also add A.J. Turner. They have a great backfield, one of the more underrated backfields in the Big Ten. They add some solid pickups at wide receiver, especially Javon Tracy. And they got a good playmaker back from last season, and Lameek Brockington. He's a guy that had 18 receptions for over 200 yards and a touchdown last season. He also had a solid bowl game performance against Virginia Tech with 55 receiving yards. They don't have crazy playmakers, but they got the guys who could get the job done. They got a very good tight end in Jameson Gears. And I think Drake Lindsey will be alright at quarterback. The offensive line and the defensive line is solid. PJ Fleck has led this team to multiple 8-win seasons. They could definitely get it done next season. I like this defense, and I think this is going to be a tough one for Nebraska on the road. Especially the previous week, they have to play Maryland on the road. I do think they slip up at Minnesota and move to 6-1. Nebraska will then bounce back and play Northwestern at home. Northwestern is a team with some sneaky good talent. This might be Northwestern's best roster in a minute. Preston Stone is a good pickup at quarterback. Cam Porter is a great running back coming back. They add Griffin Wild and Chase Farrell, some good receivers. Defensively, they have been pretty solid, and their head coach has overperformed. David Broad was the Big Ten Head Coach of the Year in 2023. This is a Northwestern team that has had an alright defense. I could see them getting a couple of wins in the Big Ten next season. They have a quarterback that I think could get the job done, but it is going to be tough for them because they just aren't on the same level of these other teams. I like Nebraska to bounce back and win this game at home, moving to 7-1. The following week, Nebraska gets a tough one. They play USC at home. They do have it at home. This could be a crucial late season game for both these teams. I am expecting both these teams to take steps forward next season. Despite all of the criticism Lincoln Riley gets, I still think this USC team is heading in the right direction. The defense was drastically better last season, and right now they have the number one class for 2026. Lincoln Riley is building towards the future in the Big Ten, and this is a USC team with a lot of returning starters for next season. One of the best 1-2s at wide receiver in Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, and also a great pickup at wide receiver in the Boise State receiver Prince Strachan. Jeda Mayava should get the job done at quarterback, and Lake McRae is a great tight end. They have a very good backfield with a couple of good transfers coming in. Raymond Jordan, and 1,000-yard back Eli Sanders. Year 2 under the former UCLA defensive coordinator is going to be huge for this USC team. I like the defense to take a step forward. They got some experience in the back end. I think a lot of people are sleeping on this USC team. They have the talent. They have the coaching staff. It's going to be interesting to see that matchup with the USC receivers in the Nebraska secondary. But I really like USC's talent on offense to get this win on the road. I think Nebraska loses it and moves to 7-2. The following week, they have to play another team from the state of California, but they actually have to travel to UCLA. And honestly, I could see this one being a trap game. It's off of a tough game against USC, then you have to go on the road to play UCLA right before a bye week. UCLA is a team with solid defensive upside. They challenged some teams in the Big Ten last season despite missing a bowl game. I'd say they were a bit better than people expected in year 1, and next season they got a quarterback coming in Nico Iamaleava. I think he'll be better than Ethan Garbus was. They had Mikey Matthews, and they got some good talent. Javion Thomas is a good pickup at running back. I think USC could be a team that competes for bowl eligibility. And honestly, I think this one's going to be a tricky road game for Nebraska. I think they get upset on the road and move to 7-3 in this game. The following week, they will go on the road to play Penn State. And I don't see this Nebraska defensive line doing that great against possibly the best backfield in the country with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen and a very solid offensive line. Penn State will also have one of the most improved receiving corps in the country, Kyron Hudson, Devontae Ross, and Trevor Penna. People are truly sleeping on this receiving corps. It's going to be one of Penn State's best receiving corps in a very long time. And the defense added a great defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles, and they got some ballers back on defense. This is absolutely a national title contender. I think they are legit, and they have this game at home. I don't see Nebraska winning this game. I think they drop it, and it might not even be close. I have them moving to 7-4. Nebraska will end their season with Iowa at home. Nebraska has struggled to beat Iowa in recent memory. I don't expect them to be super talented next season. I expect them to be solid on offense and defense. I think they got a good coaching staff. I don't quite see them having the talent to take a huge step forward, but I think they'll take a big enough step forward to beat this Iowa team, and they have it at home. Iowa adds a solid quarterback from the FCS. Mark Gronowski has over 10,000 career passing yards, but he actually isn't super consistent. And I don't expect him to be super good for the Iowa offense, especially at the Big Ten level. I think people are overhyping his name. Iowa loses a very good back in Caleb Johnson, and the defense is definitely trending downhill. They definitely took a step back last season. I think this is the year Matt Rhule in Nebraska gets it done. I have them winning this game and moving to 8-4 on the season. So my prediction for the Nebraska Cornhuskers in 2025 is 8-4. I could very well see 9-3 if they were able to win that game at UCLA. Or maybe USC is just overrated and they beat USC. Regardless, this is a team that is a sneaky playoff contender. Not because of a super talented team, but because of a good coaching staff and a tough team, and a team with a very easy schedule. If they manage to go 10-2, it's possible. This could be a team to watch out for in the playoff hunt. I just don't know if they have the playmakers on offense to do that, and the line of scrimmage could definitely be a concern. They should have an alright line of scrimmage, but how will it fare in the Big Ten? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But regardless, I'm trusting in Matt Rhule and this coaching staff. I'm trusting in Dilla Raiola to take a step forward in year 2 at quarterback. I think they have what it takes to go 8-4 and take a step forward in year 3 under Matt Rhule. But anyways, you guys leave your prediction for Nebraska football down in the comments below. And let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.